How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Amityville Scarecrow II. This is from 2022, directed by Adam Cowie, and stars Sofia Lacey, Amanda-Jade Tyler, and Kate Sandison. Now, this is obviously a sequel to Amityville Scarecrow I. They cranked it out a year later because we absolutely had to have a sequel to Scarecrow. Yeah, I don't get it. The thing is, Amityville Scarecrow I sucked. It was one of the worst kinds of horror movies. And that is, they knew they had a good title, they paired it up with a good graphics package, i.e. the thumbnail and the DVD box. They made it look cool, so who cares what the actual content is? It was basically a trick. You look and you see, oh, cool, Killer Scarecrow movie, and I like Amityville, and then you watch it, and it's just people talking, because that's the cheapest thing to film. Forget doing scary scenes, we're gonna drag out some stock drama, and we're just gonna talk for most of the runtime, and only throw in the tiniest pinch of obligatory horror. I really don't like these movies. I don't like to be someone who constantly complains, and I don't like being negative, but these type of movies really hurt people's trust in the indie horror circuit. And as someone who wants to make movies myself, who loves horror movies and wants to do my best, the fact that these type of movies hurt public trust in independent horror really does tick me off. But because they can trick people good enough to buying or watching these terrible movies, they'll make decent enough money, and that's why we get Scarecrow 2. And Scarecrow 2, much like Scarecrow 1, is pretty bad. Now, I guess it's a little better because we do have camp counselors to kill, so there is a higher body count. The scares are still poorly executed, and I never felt the tension, and I was never really in any way invested in this movie. But at least there's a higher body count, so I guess it must be better, right? The biggest difference between 1 and 2 is in Scarecrow 1, they brought out the affair, stock drama that they can get some mileage out of, even though no one really cares. And the affair in part 1, once they finished talking about it, everyone forgot and the sisters were just friends again. In fact, I don't even know if it's referenced in Scarecrow 2, if so, hardly at all. But you want to know how they pad out their runtime in Scarecrow 2? They talk about Scarecrow 1. Yeah, which we just saw. The thing is, the counselors, most of them don't even know the camp's haunted. And the ones that do probably don't even know about the Scarecrow. But because a lot of people don't know about the haunted camp, that gives the characters the chance to tell the people about the haunted camp and the lore of the first movie and the stuff that came before. We can repeat it over and over again. And oh my gosh, is it grating? Oh gosh, I don't want to hear people talk about the last bad movie that I just watched. Obviously, I can't recommend this. This, much like the first one, is just padding. It is slightly better because there are more kills, but not enough to write home about. It's still a nothing burger of a movie, and I'll only recommend it to the Amityville purists that have to watch everything. But for real, don't watch this movie. I don't like the idea of supporting low-effort horror movies that are just designed to trick people. Steer clear of this. Watch anything else. But anyway, in order to do an analysis, in order to talk about what doesn't work, in order to break the film down and analyze it, let's talk a bit about the plot. I'm not going to do major spoilers, I don't have to go to the end to do that, but I want to break stuff down, I want to talk about what works, so let's go into a bit of a digging deeper section. We open up with what I like to call the anti-hook. Normally in horror movies, you want to hook people in, show them something cool that makes them want to watch. Well, we open up with the credits, and they are among the most boring credits I've ever seen. Random atmospheric shot, a name slowly fading in. That's already pretty slow, but we can make them even slower if we put a random black blank screen in between each one that we slowly have to fade in and out of. The opening credits, they stretch out to almost 5 minutes. And if you're awake, then you get to watch the rest of the movie. After that, we get a standard prologue couple, a guy and a girl, and in this case, they're putting lights underneath a trailer for some reason. I don't know what alien or robot wrote this, but why do low-budget horror movies have people doing the most random things? Like, they're putting lights under a trailer, and later in the movie, they're wrapping a van in Christmas lights. I get you want to have them stirring the pot, but can't they do something else? Anyway, guy is gonna be like, hey, did you know this place is haunted? Girl will say, well then let's leave. Guy will say no. And of course they'll get killed by the scarecrow. But that being said, that basis of the conversation, which I could sum up in 3 lines, they somehow stretch out this opening scene to about 10 minutes long. How? It's the way the movie's edited. You know, when you edit anything, you kind of want to trim the fat and make sure it flows. But this isn't edited for flow. This is edited for runtime in order to make it as long as they can. And in turn, with this bad, puffy editing, you do, again, space out through this movie. But anyway, the opening credits and the generic prologue kill come to about 15 minutes, and this movie's less than 90 minutes long, so 1/6 of your total movie time is wasted right at the opening. Isn't that great? After that, we get the survivors from the first movie opening up the camp and all their camp counselors. I like they brought the survivors back for the sake of continuity. I don't care about their characters, but at least the continuity is somewhat there. Yay. And that's where we get into all the talking. We get with the characters from the last movie. They say that even though they swore they would never open the camp again, the government said that they had to or they would take the land from them. Maybe they could, but gee, don't you just hate it when the government goes up to your door and makes you open a summer camp? Whatever. So they were forced to, or someone else would get the land, and then they would get murdered anyway, so you might as well have people get murdered under your watch, right? Well, they said that they think the land's not haunted anymore. You see, they were 100% sure it was Lister, despite the fact that there was a second scarecrow, and despite the fact that Lister was only manipulated by a greater evil, and that greater evil's still out there. But a medium said it wasn't haunted anymore, and it's been 2 years, right? Okay, whatever. We're opening up the camp again. And the counselors, like half of them don't know, as I said, so we'll get a bunch of talking. They'll put out a scarecrow, and because, it's a cornfield, and the daughter will flip out, and she'll say, don't you know what happened here? And I'm like, they don't. That's part of it. I don't think anyone knows the scarecrow detail, but she still flips out, and the scarecrow is terrible. Like, the first scarecrow was kind of Spirit Halloween-esque, it was overly creepy in kind of like a non-scary way. The second scarecrow looks much more like a real scarecrow, but it's not scary. It's got bright plaid and a bright yellow straw hat, and its head is spherical, like it's a freaking peg doll or something. Yeah, it's just a generic little happy scarecrow that's that's killing people. Cool. And the people it kills are all cardboard. Like, I saw one character made a couple jokes about horror movies like, oh, the phone's out, this must be like a horror movie. Okay, I can see a personality trying to come through, and then like one couple that gets killed super early has like relationship drama where she thinks he's looking at other women, but it's not fleshed out and I'm not really sure what they were going for. But for the most part, these are as cardboard as they come, and any one is basically interchangeable. In fact, the daughter is a brunette British girl, and there are two other brunette British girls here, and I kept getting them mixed up. Like, for real, give your characters some personality. At least, if you're going to have people that look similar as your actors, give them, like, different hairstyles or something. But there's just a mess of generic characters that are more or less indistinguishable. And also, they're still British. Yeah, the first one I was like, okay, they're one family from England. They're all British because they're all one family. And they even referenced at the end of the movie, they're like, after the camp closed in the 80s, we had to go back to the UK. Okay, but why are they only hiring British people? You think you'd have some New Yorkers, right? I don't know. Overall, this movie's not great. We do get to some killing later on, and it is more horror than the first one, but it's never executed well, and there's so much that's just padding. Like, the atmosphere in this movie, it's like, hey, you want to see 7 seconds of a coffee cup, right? Or what if we just looked at the headlight of this car for a little while, and then we're just going to talk about the first movie. It's not great. I can't recommend this in any way. It is much like the first, just padding. Just trying to get enough to be a movie, and then who cares what the actual movie is. It is one of the worst kinds of movies. I absolutely hate it, but you know what? We're done with this series, hopefully. We watched both of them. I hope there won't be an Amityville Scarecrow 3, but you never know. But there will still be more lazy, low-budget, low-effort British horror. But I'm going to try to avoid that for a little while because I think I've done about as much as I can for now. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. If you guys want to see more videos kind of like this, you can click right there. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.